What's up, guys? Today we'll be going over lesson 9.4. 9.4 is about rotations. So we're going to have a shape and we're going to rotate it all over the place. So when you rotate something, you keep the shape intact. It's still the same shape. If you have a triangle and you rotate it 90 degrees, it's still the same triangle. It's still the same shape, same size. Alright? So before we can get started, you can rotate things, let me see, 90 degrees, 180, 270, 360. You can rotate things 4 ways. Well, Alright, sorry about that. Well, you can actually rotate 8 ways. Oh, okay. Well, actually you can rotate things in an infinite amount of ways, but for high school geometry we're only going to talk about 8. Actually it's really 4, but you'll see right now it's really 8. Whatever, I'll show you right now. Alright, so first we're going to rotate about the origin, so around the origin. That's what we're going to do. We are going to rotate about the origin. And the origin is the point 0, 0. About means we're going to go around the origin. And that's not the only point. There's also 1, 1, 2, 2. There's an infinite amount. But we're only going to do the origin in geometry, in high school geometry. So let me list the 4 of them real quick. Hold on. Well, before I list all 4, let me tell you. The first one is 90 degrees. The thing is, though, when you have a graph, and here's the origin, right? And we have a triangle right here. And we are going to rotate it. Well, the question is, are you going to go this way? Or are you going to go this way? Right? When you go this way, this is counterclockwise. And this one is clockwise. Because it goes the same way as a clock. We're going to go with both of them, but they usually use counterclockwise. So when I put over here 90 degrees and I'm going to put CC, that means counterclockwise. Alright, so I'm going to erase this graph. I'm going to put 90 degrees counterclockwise, and I want to give the rules for 4 of them. So hold up. Alright, so here are all 4 of them. So when you go 90 degrees counterclockwise, your point XY changes to negative YX. So you change the sign of the Y, put it first, and then put X. When you do 180 counterclockwise, you're going to leave in the same order X and Y, but you're going to change the sign on both. Over here for 270 degrees counterclockwise, you're going to put the Y first, keep it. Over here you're going to change the X and put it second and change the sign. And 360 degrees, that's a free bonus. Why? Because when you rotate something 360 degrees, counterclockwise, or clockwise for that matter, you get back to the original point. So you went all the way around to the same exact point. So XY stays XY. So 4 is really a freebie. So I would pause right now and I would copy this because it's very, very important. But I'm going to go on. Alright. So this is 90 degrees counterclockwise. That's a 180 counterclockwise, 270 counterclockwise, and 360 counterclockwise. We also talk about clockwise, and I want to throw it in there sometimes just to confuse you because it's fun and because you need to know it. So I'm going to know it. I'm going to show. This is the same as 360 degrees clockwise. You use the same rule right here. You use the same rule 90 degrees counterclockwise for 270 degrees clockwise. It's the same rule. 180 stays the 180. You use the same rule for counter and for clockwise. And for 270 degrees counterclockwise, you're going to use 90 degrees clockwise. So it just depends on the question. It would ask like, oh, I need you to rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. Oh, you come right here and you do it. But if it says, oh, I need you to do 90 degrees clockwise, then you don't use this because it's counter. You come over here. Here's the 90 degrees clockwise, and you're going to use this rule, which is the same as 270 counterclockwise. Alright? So that's still very important. Write that down. So let's try 3 examples. Let's rotate some stuff. Alright, so for the first one, the first example, we're going to rotate counterclockwise about the origin and we are going to rotate, oh, I should put right here. We're going to rotate 90 degrees. So we're going to rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. So what are you going to rotate, Mr. Gomez? I know, right? Well, we're going to use the same points we used for the previous notes, which is 0, 3, right there, 3, 4, right there, and 1, 1, right there. So we're going to use these 3 points all the time for today's notes, so don't forget them. So let's label them real quick. That's A, that's B, and that's C. And then I'll try to connect them as best I can. Oh. Yeah, that'll do. So here's my triangle. We're going to rotate this triangle 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. And the rule, which you should already have in the notes, is xy changes to negative yx. So I'm going to write all the points here, and then I'm going to start doing the work here. So, alright, so here are the points for A, B, and C. And here's the rule. So it says to write y first. So I'm going to put my 3, because that's x and that's y. And then the negative really means change the sign. That's a positive, so I'm going to put a negative. If this were a negative 3, it becomes a positive 3. And then you put x. Over here also, put the y first, change the sign. I have a positive 4, so I'm going to change it to a negative 4. And then copy down the first number. Over here, get the second number, 1, change it to a negative 1, and then write down 1. I'm going to plot these points here in different color so you can take a look at it. So here is my rotated triangle. So we were here and we went 90 degrees counterclockwise. And remember, 90 degrees counterclockwise is the same. So you could do the same exact work if it asked for 270 degrees clockwise. It's the same work. So it just depends which ones they're going to ask for. Alright, now we're going to do 180 degrees for the next example. Alright, so now we're going to rotate 180 degrees counterclockwise. I'm going to use the same 3 points. The rule for 180 degrees counterclockwise is negative x, negative y. So whatever points you have, you just change the sign on both. If it's negative, it turns positive. If it's positive, it turns negative. A, B, and C. Zero, 3, 3, 4, 1, 1. Well, first let me graph the original one. Alright, so that's my original triangle. So over here, you're going to keep them the same order. You're going to change the sign to all of them. Well, you can't change the sign to 0, so it stays 0. Change this positive 3 to a negative 3. Change the positive 3 to a negative 3. Change this positive 4 to a negative 4. And both of these ones are positives, so we'll make them both negatives. Remember, if you had a negative, you change it to a positive. You're just doing the opposite. So let's graph these 3 points and take a look at our next triangle, the rotated triangle. So 0, negative 3, negative 3, negative 4, and negative 1, negative 1. I'll label and I will connect the dots so y'all can take a look. So there we go. This triangle is 180 degrees rotated from this one. So over here somewhere would be 90. So over here would be the 180. So this is 180 degrees counterclockwise. And remember, 180 degrees counterclockwise and 180 degrees clockwise are the same thing, so you wouldn't really have to worry there. So let's go to the 270 degrees now on the next example. Right, so 270 degrees counterclockwise. So let's plot the original point. 0, 3, 3, 4, and 1, 1. Then we can label. I don't know what that is. Damn it, almost nice. Alright, ABC. And the rule for this one would be X, Y, Y, negative X. So you put the Y first, you keep it the same, and you change the sign of the X. A is 0, 3, B is 3, 4, and C is 1, 1. Alright. So change the sign, put the first number first. The second number first. So Y goes first, so it's 3. Change the second number, or the first one here. You can't change it, so it stays 0. So you can put the second number first, 4. Change the first one from a positive to a negative. And if it's negative, make it positive. And here put the 1 first, and change that 1 to a negative 1. Plot the new points. 3, 0. 4 down 3. And 1 down 1. And then we'll label the points and connect them. That's A prime, C prime, and B prime. There you go. And see, here's the original triangle. So here would have been 90. Somewhere here would have been the 180. So the 270 is here. So that's 270 degrees counterclockwise. Or if it asked you to do 90 degrees clockwise, which would have been here and that way, that would have been 90 degrees clockwise. Same rule, you would have done the same work here. So it just depends whether you're doing counter clockwise or regular clockwise. And the 360 I'm not going to do, because if you're right here and you do 360, you're going to go all the way around and get back to the same point. So 360, like I said, is a free question, because XY stays XY, the points never change. Alright, and one last thing about rotations. I like rotations a lot because I use rotations pretty much every day. Yeah, pretty much every day. A lot, actually. Right here, watch. Right there. If you're not real familiar with that is the PS4 controller. And these joysticks right here, they go all over the place. I'm rotating that way, I'm rotating that way. I mean, it's pretty good. So I'm rotating counterclockwise and clockwise, 360, 180, all over the place. Just so you know. So this is a real world application, for me anyways.